Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in.
Here, perfect.
I can see you. I can hear you. You look good.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like I say it every time I see you. I'm always like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. You look so good. No, it's you. It's you. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to talk with you. So thank you. First, I'll just say thank you for agreeing to talk with me and to do this with me, because I know that we both have very busy lives. And so I just appreciate you carving out this time to talk and to honestly celebrate with me about the community. So I guess we should start with some introductions because I feel like the people who are going to be like tuning in this evening, some of them know you, some of them know me, maybe some of them know the both of us. And so maybe we can start with some introductions first before we like dive in. You want to go first?
Sure. I will go first. My name is Tosh. Some people know me as Supernova Momma. It is, I guess it's me, but it's also my brand. I am a positive discipline educator, certified in the classroom, in early childhood development, and in homes. I focus on Black and neurodivergent, neurodiverse families, because your child could have some type of neurodivergence and you could not, or you could have a neurodivergence and your child could not, or y'all could be all mixed up like we are at my household. But the idea is to give that parent tools and methods and coping strategies, so that they're breaking some of those racist and ableist generational curses that we have on us from our history in this country and this world, of raising children and the ideas that we have on raising children. And I do that with courses and classes and workshops, but I also do that with just sharing my experience and how I parent in my own household. So yeah, that's me.
I'm so proud of you. Like, I know that like you've worked so hard with this. One, you just are naturally, well, it seems that you're naturally is very open and transparent about your experience, but then also you taking that personal part and then like grinding to like get what you needed to get in order to like blend the professional part of it too. That has been really cool to watch. And I'm just so proud of you really doing that. I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Amber, for anyone who's not familiar. I am a clinical psychologist and the founder of Balanced Working Mama. And Balanced Working Mama is a space for millennial mamas to find the balance and wellness in motherhood. This is my passion, one, because I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. It's a daily thing, a daily journey. Just a daily, it doesn't stop, it doesn't end. But throughout all of that, my passion has been, how do I make sure that I'm always thriving? I'm always centering my needs, making sure I'm feeling good, doing stuff like this, the things that bring me joy, so that motherhood never makes me feel lost or confused or exhausted, burnt out. And I love helping other women do that. And so that's what we do at Balanced Working Mama. And we have our community coming. January 1st is when we open our virtual community. And I'm so excited because there has always been like a community of mamas that have supported and really been touched by Balanced Working Mama, but there was never like a tangible space where they would gather and be. But now, starting in January, there will be that. So I'm super excited about it. Yes, I'm just so excited.
I am too. You know how I feel about Balanced Working Mama because, I always say that the biggest part of when I had my PPD, what I would tell everyone, my description of was that I just have to find the balance because I don't have any balance. Things keep falling and I just need to find my balance. And I didn't know that the balance was the ideas that I held, but I got going on with that today.
I mean, yeah, like we could go into it. Like, yes, yes, yeah. I mean, because honestly, I was recording another podcast episode for actually another podcast, and the topic of balance came up. And I was just saying, like, well, in Balanced Working Mama, balance is not really what people think it is. I think a lot of times when people hear like balance, finding the balance, they think it means like finding a way to do all the things, do everything, and do it all like tip top shape. Like, no.
Because you're the mom, and you're
Right.
supposed to do all the things, right?
Yep.
And everything's supposed to be done perfectly because you're the mom.
Yep, and by you. And if you don't do them, something's wrong with you.
And you're a failure.
Yep.
And you're not a good mom, and you're not a good wife, and you're not a good homemaker.
Yep. And how dare you ask for help? Like, what do you mean you needed help? Your mom didn't need help. Your grandma didn't need help. What you mean you need help? All of that.
Yep.
Like, all of that goes through our head, and it's like even how we're just going back and forth, like that's so ingrained in us. And so Balanced Working Mama is really about undoing that and unlearning that. And I think it's important to have a space for that, because I've never seen a generation of mamas unlearn and undo that. And I don't know about you, but I have not seen that.
I have not. Even in our generation, you will get the pushback when you say things like, I know my siblings, they come to my house and my husband will do the dishes and they'll look at me crazy. Or, the cookout, but it's basically, I'm hosting, it's my house. And then they'll be like, you gonna make Krishan a plate? And I'm like, he know how to make a plate? It's his house. He know how to play chess. I'm worried about him making the kids a plate. Right. The kids eat. They'll give me I forgot you do that new stuff. They give me all the, how to family.
That new stuff. She do that new stuff.
That new stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yes. All of it. My family does that too. Because, in my house, my husband cooks. He does most of the cooking. Like, for instance, if we're out at like a family gathering and there's food to be done, I'm not fixing a plate. And I'm also probably not fixing my kids' plate. My husband is probably doing it. But people will look to me first like, oh, okay, you're going to. And I'm like, where's my husband? So he can do it. Like, don't look at me.
We usually tag team because there's two. Like, one will make the one kid's plate and one will make the other kid's plate.
Exactly.
But unless it has to be like a situation where he's really uncomfortable with the people, I ain't making your plate. I'm probably trying to find a blind and finally relax because we're around people we trust. So I'm hoping somebody gonna watch our kids and let me finally indulge and chill with my friends. So
yes, girl. See, and this is why we need the community, because again, like, this is how most of us grew up, and especially, our community is going to be very diverse. It'll probably be majority Black women, but especially for Black women, and I don't want to speak for all of us, but most of us grew up with these experiences of, people in our culture, like, expecting these things of us when it comes to us being moms or wives. And, we are now just trying to completely undo that and throw it on top of his head. And I think, like you said, we get pushback from our families, which can feel really discouraging. We get pushback sometimes from our partners because maybe they're not into it yet, but we might have to do some teaching around
that was my life in the beginning.
Yeah. And so that's why we need the community, because not having the support around trying to live a different, a lifestyle of motherhood and parenting and partnership can feel really heavy if you don't have other people helping you through it. And so that's why I'm so excited for this community, because I know so many of us are going through the same experience right now.
Perfect. Outstanding. Yeah. And see, I was going to ask you about that. So I've always, but now that you say that, so I know why you make the community. Why did you make Balanced Working Mama in the first place? What was the motivation behind that?
Yeah. Ooh, that's such a great story. Okay. So, long story short, y'all, I went through a phase in my mid-20s where I was like, look, I am killing it in terms of my graduate school. I'm pursuing my degree. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology. I had moved to Oakland, California, and I was like living the life. Like I wasn't like doing crazy things, but I was just living freely, just with myself. I had me. I was like learning a ton about myself. I was like really into my workouts and my fitness. Like my time was for me. And I was really excelling in my career at that early time. And so it hit me like, wow, the next step might be marriage and children. And is that something that I want? Because I was so afraid that if I had children one day, all this stuff that I had worked towards in terms of my health, my well-being, my centeredness, my loving myself, like I was afraid that was going to be snatched away from me because I had kids. And not to say exactly, and not to say that like having kids is this terrible thing, but as we know, like when we have children, it's all consuming. It really just, it takes so much of your energy, so much of your focus. Not to mention all those things that we just talked about that are so ingrained in us. It makes you truly just kind of like neglect yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I was really afraid to become a mom because I didn't want to lose myself. I didn't want to lose those parts of me. Flash forward to years later, I did become a mom. I got these 2 kids, and I was just so focused on like, okay, well, how do I become a mom and still hold on to me? How do I become a mom and still stay connected to me, still continue to do the things that bring me joy, that make me feel good? How do I be a mom and take care of myself? Because truthfully, I did not have a good model for that. And so I wanted to be the model for myself, but then also realizing I really wanted to help other women do this too. And so that's how Balanced Working Mama came to be. It was kind of like me committing to myself and saying like, hey, Amber, yes, you have these 2 kids, but they are not going to break you. They are not going to take you. You are still going to always be connected to who you are and what feels good. And you get to help other women do that too. And so that's where that came from. And it's been good. I love it.
So interesting you say that, because a lot of what I've been seeing different people, advocates, talk about is the idea that people have that healing is just them. It's just within, and it stops once they're healed. But a lot of us know that once you start healing yourself, you want to share it with other people. Because the same thing with Supernova Momma. We found out my children were autistic, and then I found out I was autistic, and then I was like, okay, well, it's here. It is what it is. How do we make the best of this situation? How do I give my children the best possible life they can have? How do I support them? And so I did every bit of research. And when I was doing all that, I was like, wow, there's not a lot for us at all. There's not a lot for Black people. There's not a lot for women with autism. There's not a lot for mothers with autism who raise children. And then when you get into the whole, they go with the autism mom thing, then there's this community who's like, oh, I'm so sad, what was me about my children having autism? And then, it's just so much different stuff. Yeah. And so I was like, I need for people who are like me to see themselves, like, because there's nothing, I didn't see myself. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, I'm the type of person that jumps in, so I'm gonna make sure that the next person who's like me has somebody that they see and have an example of how to do this, at least how to approach it, and because they may not do it exactly like me. I'm a little crazy, but but they have at least a model and some tools, and they have some ideas about support and about stemming and all of those things. So absolutely,
yes, and this is why I love what you do as well, because kind of like what you said, it's like if you're healing yourself, if you're healing your family, so when you were saying that, what it made me think is like we get to operate in a place of like overflow. It's like I'm pouring into myself and my family, and now like of course I want to like flow it out, pour into the community, because it's like I just cannot sit and watch other people suffer and struggle when I feel like I've found the thing to help, and it seems like that's the case for you too. And I feel like that's why it's been so easy for us to collaborate over the last year or so, because we kind of get that. And I see that in you too.
Yes, it's always been, I've always been a helper. Like when me and my husband were talking and laughing, because I've gone different places with what I wanted to do since I got out of the military. And because he kept asking me, what you can do whatever you want to do. I'm here to support you. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to help people. And he was like, okay, but how? and I was like, I'm going to be honest. There's never been any direction on the how. It's always been, I want to help people. When I was young, I wanted to be a politician, usually local community politics, like, but I wanted to help the constituents in my town. And then I got to film and I was like, politics are trash. So I went away from that. And when I was in the military, I worked on policy. I helped soldiers to get promoted. I was helping soldiers. I started doing the sexual assault prevention program, those type of things to help people. And so when I got out, it was like, okay, education. And then if you're not in the DODEA military education system, the pay, if you're not college or if you're not government funded, the pay and the workload is atrocious. It's ridiculous. And so then I was like, okay, well, let's just go back to something I've always loved, and I was reading. Part of what we should have known I was autistic, I used to fall in ditches reading books. Like, I used to walk and read. The only time I got in trouble in school, I got ISS for hiding books inside the
That is so sweet. That is so cute.
I have always been a fixation on reading type person. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a librarian. And so that was the whole plan. Until everybody started asking what I was doing with my kids. Every time I would post a video with parents and Riley, people kept asking. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable giving these people advice because people start off their money without having some type of training, certification, education. And so, that's where the positive discipline certifications come. And that's why I am now back in school to be a therapist. So got to go through the whole system all over again.
Look at you. Yes. I love it. And again, it's just making me think, like, so for instance, for me, if someone like 10 years ago was like, tell me, oh, you're going to do this thing called Balance Working Mama, and you're going to be so passionate about mothers, I would be like, I'm not. Like, that's not it. Like, that's not what I'm interested in at all. And I feel like that would have been the same for you. Like 10 years ago, if people would have been like, oh, you're going to help other people with neurodivergence, and this is going to be like super big in your family, you would have been like, what are you talking about?
First of all, I'd be like, what y'all talking about? No, I don't have, did all those comments we say. There's nothing wrong with me, all of that mess. Because I was all types of ableistic back then. I didn't have any understanding of neurodiversity in the first place. And I didn't want kids. Get a load of that. I had a really rough childhood. If people who follow me know, I had a really rough childhood. And so I had said I was going to be the rich auntie who travels the world and come through with the Christmas and birthday gifts.
Me
like,
too.
Up, baby?
That was going to be my path too.
And I got married. Even when I got married, we got married really early, but the agreement was we was just going to party and have fun. And then, really fell in love with him. We had friends who had kids. We used to take care of their kids. We babysit their kids. And then eventually it was like, oh, I guess I can have somebody who looks like you. But I'm me. So then I became fixated on let's do all the research for all the parenting methods and styles to pick exactly how I want to parent. And so that's where all this started. I started researching Montessori. I started researching authoritative parenting styles, and all from there.
And I think that's why, again, we are so passionate about our work, because it truly comes from a place of like, it starts with us, and it's just kind of like leaking out everywhere, because we saw the need here first, and now we want to share it with other people. And so I'm so excited about the work for both of us, but also I'm excited about, and so I need to talk with you one-on-one about us collaborating again within the community. And I know I kind of like dropped the hint like a month or so ago when we talked, we recorded a podcast, but my idea is that I would love for you to really help us within the community to understand positive parenting a little bit more. And so that will be like later in the spring, hopefully. And again, you and I will get on this. But with the community, one thing that is really unique about the community is that we're always going to have some sort of expert in the community help to guide us in terms of our wellness. And I truly believe that feeling grounded in your parenting approach and your practice is a part of our wellness, because we feel good when we feel grounded in how we want to parent our children. But also, I think a part of how you do it and how you talk about it, really, it starts with us. Like you said in one of your courses and your trainings I did with you a while ago, you walked us through like our triggers and all of that. And like that just resonated with me so much. And I was just like, oh, my community needs this, because we need to learn ways to understand that how we approach our child, how we sit with them, how we focus with them, it really does start with how we are with ourselves. And so I'm so excited to have you like talk about that eventually in our community and help our mamas understand that stuff. I know that they're going to get so much benefit out of that.
Oh, well, I'm excited. I love your community in the first place. So I'm happy to be there. And then it's always important for me to give the tools and then make sure that you understand you don't have to use all of the tools. You can make the tools fit you. Yeah. You don't have to be Mary Poppins up in this thing. You know what I mean? You can be yourself and make the tools fit you in your household. Yeah. And so I think the moms will really get loving out of that. And I think it's so beautiful how you build this community, because it seems like, a part of what brings me to women like you, to women, all of the people that you brought on, Ray, Chrissy, is that you live and you try to embody, or you do embody, and then you just try to display that when you're giving your product, the product that you're giving out. So, you try your best to be balanced and to take care of you and to have different ways to take care of you, and to still have positive discipline and one-on-one time with your children, and to still, still take care of your business and still do your job. And so it shows when you put out the product, right? Because if you're living a life, then when you put out the product, it shows. Exactly. And so I love that so much, because there are times where I still, especially because, that autism comes strong. So when a meltdown comes, there are times where I'm still like, I ain't got no balance. I'm trying. I really do sometimes just go to your page, like, let me find something. Because I'm trying to be a balanced working mom, but I'm about to stop working.
Girl, you look, and that again, this is why the community is so important, because like we will have moments like this, and we need a safe space to just go and be like, look, girl, I don't want to be a balanced working mama today. I want to be raggedy. Like, and it's okay, because sometimes we just want to be raggedy. But the community will hold that space for us. Mamas in there are ready to like be nurturing, to be validating, to be non-judgmental, and just be like, look, me too. I get it. And then encourage you if you need it. Be like, yo, but keep going, because you're doing a great job. Like, I feel you. And, yes, like it would be so terrible if I was out here like burnt out, stressed out, exhausted, not being balanced, and then trying to tell y'all to do it too. Y'all can see right through that. Like, everybody would be able to tell. But I do try my hardest, because I know, again, it comes back to, I want to feel good. Like, I don't want to lose myself in motherhood. I want to stay connected. I want to be healthy. I'm trying to be the 70-year-old grandmama that like is out there running and looking good. Like, that's truly what I want. And so I'm wanting it for myself so bad that I also want it for you all too. And so, yeah, it really does start here with me at home. And again, same for you. We can tell. And that's why people are so connected to the work that you do and the stories that you share, because we can tell that it's authentic. And I think that's what really is unique about your work, my work, our community. It's really coming from a very authentic place.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. Now, what do you feel like is different about your community from, the other mom communities?
The wellness piece, truly, it is. Yes. Because I think there's a bunch of mom communities. Like, it's not hard to find one. There's actually one very influential woman right now who just started a huge one on Facebook. And so there's a ton of mom groups, but I think the one thing that makes ours unique is that the focus is wellness, our wellness, and how to find that. You know, a lot of times when I see a lot of other mom spaces and mom communities, it's either really random, it's kind of just like our common identity is mom, and you know, whatever goes, or it's
breastfeeding, what we do.
right.
Yep.
It's just kind of random, like whatever comes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like that's what I see. Also, other mom groups tend to lean more on the how do I become a better mom content. It's really focused on like, oh, this is happening with my kid. What do I do? Or my kid needs this. How do I approach this? And again, none of that is bad, because I'm sure a little bit of that will happen in our community too. But our focus and priority is how do you start to feel well? How do you make sure you're balanced? How do you have quality well-being and quality of life? How do you feel? That's our focus. And so mamas that are attracted to our community are really wanting to thrive, to feel good, to not be burnt out, not be exhausted. They want to feel joy and passion, like they want to excel in their careers. They want to start the new business without feeling like motherhood's holding them back, things like that. We are so focused on like your wellness and your well-being. That's what makes us unique.
You know, that's kind of perfect because my positive discipline in itself is different because it's more focused on the parents, but that's because of who I focus on.
Yeah.
So I focus on Black and or neurodiverse families. And the and or is it's important because a lot of people are like, you only focus on Black neurodiverse families. No, neurodiverse families from every race are oppressed. And they experience a lot of ableism and they need a lot of help. Because it is different. And it is a little more difficult to parent a child who may have autism or ADHD or bipolar disorder or ADD. And so the idea is to give them tools and methods to help them so that they can help their child. And what I mean by that is if your mindset is that your child is difficult and a problem, your actions will come through that your child is difficult and a problem. If your mindset is that it's too much for you and you can't handle it, your actions will come through in that this is too much for you and that you can't handle it, whether that's consciously or subconsciously. So a lot of the tools and methods, especially in the beginning of my courses, focus on exactly what you said, having parents identify their triggers, having parents think about the mindsets that they have, like with, you know, my kid doesn't listen, is your kid not listening or is your kid not obeying? You know, we go into things like that. So we talk about, you know, maybe some asking and telling. We talk about the fact of actually going through child development and how the brain actually forms. Because, you know, that cerebral cortex doesn't even fully develop until you're 25. And so, you know, and even with a fully formed cerebral cortex right here, all this trauma and everything going on, I don't always do everything perfect. So it's the idea of you're allowed to be imperfect, so your children should be allowed to be imperfect, and you should celebrate those mistakes because they're learning opportunities. Whenever your child does something wrong, what can we learn from that? What can we find a solution from? So having those mindset changes first, that in itself changes you and your household. Because if you're looking at any mistake that you or your child makes as a learning opportunity, it's no longer the beat up that we do. Oh, fuck, why did I do that? Man, I'm such a horrible mom. I can't believe I did that. I was really supposed to be on that now. All of that beat up that you do, start letting that go. I'll be late for, listen, my kids probably was just having a tantrum. My husband was taking care, but I was sitting there like, oh, I need to help him. And then I was like, nope, you know what?
He got it.
He got it. Because, you know, and you know why I did that? Because the last time she had that tantrum, I said, oh, can you excuse me? And I turned off the live and I went up there and tried to fix it. And then the live had to end and I missed that opportunity.
No, ma'am.
Mistakes are learning opportunities, baby. So, and when I came back, I didn't beat myself up. I said, I'm sorry. I got neurodiverse kids. I'm learning. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be a business owner, but I also, them kids gonna come first sometimes, and I'm learning. So, and if I can do that for myself, because we don't do that for ourselves, then I can start doing it for my child. So when they spill a cup of water and we've had a rough day, our And that's the idea. Once that happens, your mindset, things change because your mindset changes. So if you're going from, I can't believe this happened, I can't believe you did that, I can't believe that I did that, to, okay, how do we fix this? What's the solution? That in itself is going to get you. And then we talk about coping strategies, because everybody needs coping strategies, because every last one of us got some dang old trauma. We all Black and neurodiverse, so all of us dealing with some type of trauma from racism and ableism in this day country. Or because I have clients from Kenya, from Uganda, from the UK, and they all dealing with it too. And so then the idea is to look at
Hey mama, thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.